watching the Porsche Carrera Cup highlights from Townsville. After his slip-up in the first race, Stephen Richards lost his championship lead and was after a better points haul in race 2.
Great jump from the second row of the grid. Craig Baird is now the championship leader, and he looks a lot more menacing starting from the second row instead of the third.
Exactly right. He's always quick off the start. He was a bit quiet in race 1, so expect Beardo to be on form in this race.
Big field of Porsches here in Townsville. 22 cars.
Oh, trouble here for
Richards. Around he goes. Contact from Max Twigg. Left, right, excuse me, coming through. He goes to the back. This has been a disastrous weekend.
Exactly. We saw a little bit of a mistake down at this part of the track from Richo in race 1. Now he's been turned around at the start of race 2, so that's a difficult day for him.
There's the contact, the green Porsche of Max Twigg. You can see in the background everyone has to bank up.
And everybody did a great job to avoid him, so lucky that there was no other contact there for Richo. Would have been very easy for somebody to run into him, damage a radiator, and then he would have been out of the race completely.
Daniel Gaunt was again streaking away from the pack, so the question remained, could anyone catch him?
Daniel Gaunt the leader, Baird second, then Reed, then Patrizzi, then Ben Barker. And they've just struggled a little bit in terms of the Reed and Patrizzi cars. They didn't quite go the right way with setup in race 1.
Yeah, it definitely looked like both the McElroy racing cars. Reed has a look up the inside of Baird into turn 11. Nice clean move. Craig giving him some racing room as well. He knows there's no point fighting this early on in the race. So the McElroy racing cars definitely look like they come on stronger in the latter half of the race. So that's probably how that team and Andy McElroy and the boys have got those cars set up to be a bit stronger at the end of the race.
The 450 horsepower, 6-cylinder engine screaming down through turn 1. But Gaunt has a comfortable margin. Big lock up. Ben Barker stays on the brake pedal. That right front Michelin will be toast.
He will have a massive flat spot on that right front tyre now, so he's just going to have to manage that the best he can.
Stephen Richards was not having it all his own way, clawing his way back through the pack.
Richards here closing in on Paul Kelly, the Kiwi, who runs in the elite class. And he's going to make Richo work for this. He's not going to move aside because they are racing for position.
In car now with Stephen Richards and the laser, climbing an electrical Porsche. He'll have a look into turn 3 here. Not quite far enough up the inside. So Paul's actually fighting Richo pretty hard, which is a bit of a surprise because Richo's quite a bit quicker. But Paul is entitled to race him, so we'll see what happens through turns 5 and 6. Richo.
This is where he attacks. He really wants to get the run off 6 and then up the inside for turn 7, but he's not close enough. And if you look at the lap times from race 1, makes a lock-up.
Yep.
He's about 2 seconds a lap slower, but it's that mistake that lets Richo through.
And that puts Stephen Richards back inside the top 10, so not a bad recovery from the terrible start he had.
After his overseas experience, Craig Baird was having no problems dealing with traffic.
Baird and Patrizzi closing in here to put a lap on the Sky Sands Porsche of Rusty French, who is a Porsche racing veteran. Been there, done that in all sorts of types of Porsches. Has been to Le Mans. But now the fast boys are coming through. The blue flags are flying. And he pulls to the inside. I can see the intent here.
He's trying to get out of the way, Aaron, but he hasn't done a very good job of it. But look, these guys, it hasn't affected them too much. Beardo, fresh from his World Cup experience at the Nürburgring, he would have contended with plenty of cars over there. 96 entries in that race.
And the weather was way worse.
Again, Johnny Reed managed to close in on the leader, but that's all he could do.
Johnny Reed has really thrown a challenge to Daniel Gaunt, but Gaunt is rebuilding his championship challenge, and he's on target to go 2 from 2.
That's right. Daniel had a pretty tough round in Perth, but he's really fighting back in the championship this weekend. He hasn't put a foot wrong so far. Qualified third, won the first race comfortably, and he's on track to make it 2 from 2.
We're going to see him later in the year in the Lucky 7 Ford with Tim Slade at Phillip Island and Bathurst. And this is the way to go towards the Enduros. Another race win. The Kiwi kid picks up another one. Reed is second. Patrizzi's throwing everything at Baird, but he doesn't quite get there. Damien Flack bested the elite drivers from Max Twigg. Richards recovered for 9th, but while Baird's the title leader, not all is as it seems.
Well, Beto, anything can happen at this track, and here you are. You've got the championship lead at the moment.
Yeah, we took it over yesterday by beating Richo by a couple of places, but to be fair, we just haven't had the outright speed we need around here. I don't know why. It's we've got a fair bit of push in the car and we can't seem to dial it out. And this is a place that you just don't need understeer, you know. It's just a lot of little niggly change of direction, and it's just costing us a bit of time.